All right, sir, if I can't get you on camera, you're not here.
I'm doing so right now. I am exempt from these rules and regulations. I motion and move this court to dismiss this case. I am sui juris in proper persona and propria persona.
Mr. Dubois, is your address?
All right, everyone. We've got another Sovereign Citizen courtroom meltdown, and this time it's in front of Judge Webster, who is not putting up with any nonsense. The defendant, he's hit with the usual charges: no license, no insurance, and no registration. So, you already know this is going off the rails. What makes this even crazier is how completely out of touch with reality this guy seems. His behavior is all over the place, and honestly, it's tough to watch. Do these people actually believe these arguments will work in court? I'm curious. Do you think he's genuinely delusional? Or is he just another sovereign citizen refusing to accept the law? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's break this down.
State of Kansas versus Anthony Edward Dubus. Jared Regier for the state. Is Mr. Dubus present? Anthony Dubus?
I am Anthony Edward Dubus. Dubus is the English pronunciation. Dubus is the original French. And I am appearing specially in propria persona, not pro se, as sui juris.
Okay, first of all, I can't see you, so you're not here.
Parents satisfied?
Thank you, sir. Now,
absolutely.
As far as I need to go, well, I need you back here in person.
Okay, well, it's propria persona, not in person. I'm not the legal entity that you're claiming me to be.
All right, sir, if I can't get you on camera, you're not here.
I'm doing so right now. I'm just removing it as a tape. It takes a while.
Now, the second order of business, let's get your name straight. I know a family with the same exact spelling in America, and they do pronounce it Dubus, but you said you pronounce it
Dubus, as the original Dubus, as the original French. Yep.
Very well. Dubus.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Mr. Dubus appears in person and pro se.
Correction. Propria persona.
Well, in this court, it's in person. And
correction, in all courts, it may be either pro se, either appear in person, or propria persona.
Well, in my years of law school and nearly 40 years of practice, both as an attorney and a judge, it's been in person, and that's what I'm going with, sir. I believe that is just fine. So in any event, we will proceed with your charges. In count one, sir, you're charged with operating a motor vehicle on a highway of this state without having a valid driver's license pursuant to KSA 8-235A. In count two, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, you did then and there unlawfully operate or attempt to operate a motor vehicle, to wit, a 2003 Honda Accord, upon a highway of the state, to wit, 1700 block of East Foxtail Street, Andover, Butler County, Kansas, while the vehicle was not registered in violation of KSA 8-142. In count three, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, Anthony Edward Dubus,
Thank you, Myron.
Unlawfully and intentionally drive a motor vehicle upon a public highway or property open to use by the public and fail to provide proof of insurance upon demand by a law enforcement officer. Now, sir, if you had insurance when you were stopped but just didn't have it with you or couldn't find it quickly, just provide proof to the county attorney and they'll most likely dismiss that charge. But if you really didn't have insurance, you're looking at a Class B non-person misdemeanor. The law does require a minimum fine if you're convicted of $300 up to $1,000. and it does have a possible jail sentence up to 6 months. Those are the charges against you.
This is just absurd. From the charges alone, no license, no insurance, no registration. It's clear this guy is a textbook sovereign citizen. It's like they wake up every day determined to make life harder for themselves. Why go out of your way to fight against the most basic laws? This isn't some deep state conspiracy. It's just common sense. You need a license to drive and registration to own a car. Even the Supreme Court has confirmed states have the authority to require these things for public safety. But of course, sovereign citizens think they've uncovered some hidden legal loophole that lets them bypass reality, while the rest of us, sheeple, just follow the rules. Honestly, I think part of the problem is our education system. We learn a bunch of random facts in school, but where are the lessons on basic laws and rights? I don't remember being taught any of that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I doubt it. What do you think? Should schools start covering this stuff? Let me know in the comments, but for now, let's get back to the case.
You do have the right to an attorney. You can hire any attorney of your choice, but if you cannot afford an attorney, you can apply and see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. You don't have to have an attorney, though. You can waive your right to an attorney and represent yourself. So that's an order of business we need to take care of today, is whether you want an attorney or not. And then another is to make sure that you understand what the charges are and the possible penalties. Do you have any questions for me about that?
Yeah, I don't understand the nature and cause of the charges. I have not had my accuser face me to bring the charges against me, as is a violation of due process. And I want to correct, for the record of the court, the named defendant is different than the named person, being myself. Hold on, let me make sure I get that in view of the camera. The named person here is different than the one named in the charges and the counts, being a difference of representation of who exactly it is the charges are against. And it is, to my belief and knowledge, that per KAR 8243 subsection A, exemption from the motor carrier safety regulations, A, the occasional transportation of personal property by private motor carriers that is not for compensation and is not in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise. I am exempt from these rules and regulations, and if I need to get a USDOT number to show that I was not operating a commercial motor vehicle or as a common carrier for business or for profit or in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise, I will be more than happy to produce that USDOT number to show that I am in fact a private motor carrier, not operating in commerce, not driving, as I'm merely transporting and traveling.
Mr. Dubois, you are not charged under the Uniform Commercial Carriers Code as adopted by the state of Kansas. You are charged just as a motorist operating a motor vehicle. Again, not a commercial vehicle. These are not laws that are subject to the commercial code or to the administrative regulation that you referred.
Although you mentioned the word operating, operating is a term used for the commercial furtherance of a commercial enterprise, or driving, operating, the physical use or furtherance of for-profit business or for compensation.
It may under the commercial code, but not under the code otherwise.
It is under Kansas, correct?
It is not under Chapter 8 of the Kansas statutes or Chapter 40, which are filed under. But we can address that at a later date at a trial or a motions hearing if necessary. But I do not see the statutory language that you're addressing being applicable to these statutes, at least preliminarily at this hearing.
It is
I don't-
within, sorry,
Okay.
go ahead.
That's my ruling there. And then on the name issue, I am not tracking you there. The only difference I see is that at the top of the document, state of Kansas and your name are capitalized, and in the initial or in the individual charges, it's traditional capital letter of the first name, all lowercase of the remaining names throughout. So I'm not following that argument. Again, if you want to readdress that at a later date, we can, but I'm just not seeing that argument.
Okay.
Now
Well,
then,
I motion and move this.
Watching this guy pull out his little cheat sheet, convinced he's about to outsmart the judge, is honestly hilarious. What's the end game here? Buy a car, refuse to get a license, then waltz into court and argue that the judge has no jurisdiction while literally standing in their courtroom. And of course, they always throw out random legal phrases, like they've just unlocked some secret level in the justice system. At some point, you have to wonder, do they even believe their own nonsense? I've said it before, no matter how deep they are in this ideology, there's got to be some level of delusion involved. There is absolutely no chance they're going to win. Honestly, selling the car and just taking Uber would be way less stressful than standing in court and reciting legal theories that make no sense. If anyone out there actually understands the logic behind this, please explain it in the comments. Because I swear, I'm losing brain cells watching this unfold.
I have filed, and for the brief in support of motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction.
sir, I do not have any such motion or brief in support. Mr. Regier, have you received any such documents?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor, and so I fail to see, at least at this juncture, how such a motion is properly brought before the court, unless the court is aware of something that I am not aware of.
Well, that's what I'm trying to decide, if it's properly before the court. Mr. Dubois, who did you file the motion and brief with?
Well, seeing as your guys' e-file is down for what is it? It's called a ransom malware or something. I cannot e-file.
Right,
so
but you can mail it, or you can walk it into the clerk of the court. Have you done that?
Yes, I've mailed it. By email, which a
and I'm
court
sorry,
clerk
when I
could.
Okay, go ahead, please. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. It was by email, which the court clerk said I could, considering the e-file was down. And I can't really go 20-something miles to do that, considering my personal property was stolen.
When did you email it, sir? When did you email it?
A while ago.
Judge,
Yeah.
Yes.
we do not accept emailed filings, only faxed or by mail or person.
Okay,
Oh,
I was told that they do not have fax, so I could not do that. So email would be okay.
He may have called the wrong courthouse then.
They spent 10 minutes finding my case because your guys' system was down. So I'm fairly certain it was the correct one.
Okay. Do you recall which you filed or which court you called?
Let me go to my sent. T. Stafford at bucokansas.com.
I think that might be at the county courthouse, not the district courthouse.
Okay. So if you want to file something, sir, let's make sure you file it in a fashion that will get it officially recognized. So, Ashley, how do you suggest he file motions and the like?
He will either need to mail us a copy of it or he can fax file.
And is your guys' fax active?
Right, love how the court clerk isn't holding back with this guy. He's probably realizing he should have just hired a lawyer. But let's be real, this was likely his plan all along. He didn't just accidentally forget to send his motions. He has no idea how to file them correctly. Court filings follow strict rules, And anyone even slightly prepared would know that. Honestly, it seems like he's just stalling. Even if he did mess up, sending documents to the right place isn't rocket science. It's like he's searching for any excuse to drag this case out as long as possible. And knowing sovereign citizens, I wouldn't put anything past him. What do you think? Is this guy deliberately delaying the case? Or is he really this clueless? Let me know in the comments.
What's the fax number?
Our fax number is 316-321-9486.
Okay. And my honor, I have one last question. For the nature and cause of these charges, is it a criminal or is it a civil matter?
This is a criminal matter.
Okay. As it is a criminal matter, there are two jurisdictions which I may be tried. One is the common law, and the other is a military tribunal. Which of those two do you intend to try me in?
I intend to try you in this one, sir.
Which is this one? Please elaborate.
The criminal one.
Well, criminal has two jurisdictions. It is either the common law or it is the military tribunal.
Well, sir, we're not going to go into that at this point.
Are you refusing to acknowledge to me and tell me the nature and cause of the charges?
I have told you the nature and the cause of the charges.
You are not elaborating.
I think the remaining issue, sir, is whether you're going to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent yourself.
My honor, I need to know whether or not this is going to be in the common law or a military tribunal.
Well, I am going to ask you one more time. Are you going to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent yourself, sir?
Again, I'm not representing myself. I am sui juris in proper persona or propria persona.
So you're not going to have an attorney, or are you?
No, I'm not going to be presented or represented by any British agent, registrant, or anybody else to be a ward of the state. I'm standing on my rights, and I do not abrogate them. And if you're going to continue to move this court without any sort of evidence, well, I guess I'll have to file that. But
We're going to set your hearing. How do you want to plead to the charges first? Then, if you don't want to have an attorney, how do you want to plead to no valid driver's license?
my honor, are you attempting to administer the trust without permission and consent?
I'm asking you for your response. I'm giving you the chance to respond. Do you want to plead to this charge or not?
My honor, I don't make any pleas as I am appearing in propria persona, and any plea would submit jurisdiction to the court. I am here challenging jurisdiction under the common law as I am owed the law of peace.
The only fraud happening here is coming from this guy. He's literally reading off a Facebook script, probably written by some other sovereign citizen who thinks they're a legal expert. It's painfully obvious. These people have this weird obsession with trying to force the judge to explain whether the case falls under common law, maritime law, or whatever nonsense they believe in. Here's the thing, courts don't work like that. Judges aren't going to stop an entire hearing just to explain what laws apply. It's already established by the legal system. Sure, common law exists, but there's an entire structure of statutes and regulations governing everything. Yet, these people act like they can rewrite the system to fit their made-up rules. Meanwhile, the judge is just sitting there, waiting for them to run out of nonsense. It's like watching someone argue with a brick wall. Do you think this guy has even a slight chance of winning? Because I don't. Let's jump back in.
As fraud in the inducement, from the beginning, under due process violations from Deputy Khalid Barake and the other officers or sheriffs that were on scene. And if you are attempting to administer the trust without consent of myself, the living man, the grantor, in common law, which is above Admiralty Maritime Law, then you will be in violation of Article 3, Section 2, the trial of all crimes, except in case of impeachment, shall be jury, and such trial shall be held in a state where said crime shall have been committed, but when they are not committed with any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. And as there is a difference between the Republic State Kansas before the state of Kansas was brought into the Federation of the Union of States. And you will also be in violation of I'm getting it real quick. 18 U.S. Code sections 2381, treason. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States, the corporation, not United States of America or for America, levies war against them or adheres to the enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason and shall suffer death or shall be imprisoned not less than 5 years and fined under this title, but not less than $10,000, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. Now, I, Anthony Edward Dubus, the proper case trade name, not the all caps legal entity of which you're attempting to administer the trust of, am an American state national, a Kansas state national per 8 USC 1101 subsection 21, and is recognized by the Kansas Human Rights Commission as I have dealings with them going over my nationality in regards to a corporation in which I have a complaint filed against, has already been refused mediation by the company, and is being investigated by Barbara Carper, the special investigator of Kansas Human Rights Commission, over my case specifically. And if you are attempting to move this case against myself, you are in violation of executing law rather than just judging on it. Which, if I need to pull up that statute
Sir,
or case as well.
Sir, do you still have the same phone number you had posted on your bond that you have with AAA Butler County Bail Bonds? Is that still your current phone number?
My Honor, Mrs.
316-252?
My Honor, Webster, it is, you may call me either Anthony Dubus or Anthony Edward Dubus. I do not accept the term sir.
Very
Although,
well.
yes, my phone number is still the same at 316-252-9724.
All right. And is your address, okay. Address's iPhone needs to be locked. And Mr. Dubois, is your address still homeless, or do you have?
The judge really hit him with the "you're homeless" comment. Ouch. But honestly, the most bizarre part of this case, he keeps calling the judge "my honor" instead of "your honor." That's one of the most basic courtroom formalities, yet he can't even get that right. It might seem like a minor slip-up, but it's actually a huge red flag. Addressing a judge properly is about recognizing their authority, yet this guy acts like they're old buddies. Newsflash, they are not. He's only making himself look even more ridiculous. At this point, he should be way more focused on getting his life together instead of picking pointless fights in court. What do you guys think? Does this guy have any chance of turning things around, or is he just completely lost?
They refuse to put down my address. I am within Wichita, Kansas, rural free delivery within the 4-corner rule 67202. aka the brackets around 67202, and they refused to put down my rural free delivery address and put me as homeless instead because they could not accept it. They refused. Also, Deputy Khalid Barake, when I was taken to Butler County Detention Center, refused that there were any magistrates at all within any of the courts, which per due process of common law, I was to be taken before a magistrate or a tribunal, both judicial, either Article 3 or 4, in front of a magistrate judge to be decided whether or not I was even within the jurisdiction to be tried for these charges or commercial crimes.
Your next court date will be 2 weeks from Monday. What do you have, Ashley? 2 weeks from this past Monday. What is it?
I believe that is going to be Monday, the 18th.
All right, Mr. Dubois, your next court date is December 18th at 8 a.m. by Zoom. You can always appear in the courthouse personally if you like. I am appointing Attorney Darren Patterson. Now, if you don't want to use him,
I do not accept any appointment of any attorney.
But I show that you don't have a specific residence. Do you have a job, employment?
I did, and then these actions against myself from the state of Kansas caused me not to have it anymore.
In this court's opinion, mixed federal law and state law and other sources of law that don't
My
all
honor.
go together.
May
And
I
just
elaborate?
want him to be available to you. I think we have exhausted this particular hearing, the purpose of which is merely to make sure you know what the charges are, the possible penalties, and your rights that I have gone over with you, including your right to counsel, which I'm hearing you say you don't wish to utilize. But nevertheless, I'm going to direct Mr. Patterson to at least be available to you, that you be here again December 18th at 8 a.m. by Zoom, and I'm going to continue your bond until that date and time. So anything else, Mr. Anthony Edward Dubois, please take that up.
Honor.
Thank you. Please take that up at the next hearing after you've had time to talk to Mr. Patterson.
Okay, my last final thing I want to say is I'm already filing Kansas Commission on Judicial Conduct complaint against a judge, and that would be the prior judge, Mr. Mr. Lee, I believe, and I will be adding you to the complaint as well, as you are violating my due process right and my Sixth Amendment.
It's the classic sovereign citizen playbook. Wrap up the hearing with a veiled threat to the judge. We've all seen this before. They think a little intimidation will make the judge back down or grant them special treatment, but spoiler alert, it never works. This guy is unemployed, homeless, and acting like fighting over a driver's license is the most important battle of his life. Just get the license and move on. It's really not that hard, but instead, he's digging himself into an even deeper hole. And the way he blames everyone, especially the state of Kansas, for his situation. That's peak victim mentality. At some point, you have to take responsibility for your own life. Sure, things aren't easy, but that doesn't mean you get to ignore basic laws and responsibilities. He's doubling down on the victim card, but it's not working. He's just grasping at anything to avoid facing reality. Anyway, that's a wrap for today's video. Let me know in the comments, do you think he actually believes this nonsense? Or is he just following the same tired script? If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. I post new content every day, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all of you. Take care.